This episode has been brought to you by Manscaped. The new Lawnmower 5.0 Ultra is every man's cheat code to look good, feel good, and turn the page on confidence this year. Go to manscaped.com, use the code GOLTS20 for 20% off plus free shipping today. This week on the Heart of the Gulch YouTube show, we sit down with musician/songwriter Nicole Croteau. In today's Walk the Line episode, we follow Nicole as she performs one of her songs at a writer's round at Trace View Ranch. Let's check out the episode. We are in the heart of the Gulch. My name is Tony Mendoza, your host, but you already knew that by this point. But anyway, guys, today we have an amazing songwriter. And what I mean by songwriter, there's been a few people that we've had on the Heart of the Gulch that you have heard, or I guess heard and also seen some of her music that's actually came out through other artists. But she's also a great musician. We have the one and only Nicole Croteau in the building.
What's going on?
Nicole, how are you doing today?
I'm doing fantastic. I'm happy to be here with you.
You know, I'm excited because there's so many great artists that we've had on the show. And one thing that Nashville is known for are songwriters.
Yep.
And you are one of those songwriters that you just find, I feel like I've seen your music in so many other people's music.
Well, that makes me feel good because it's been a long road and I have worked on that as my goal. So
how long have you been working on that?
Man, I started writing songs when I was 13, but I went into it professionally when I was about 17 and signed my first record deal when I was 19. So
Goodness.
It's been, let's see, like 15 years.
15 years of writing music. And before we get into anything, because these people know I love to ask where you're originally from, but
Okay.
I think I know Montana, but what city in Montana?
So I'm from Whitefish, Montana.
Whitefish, Montana.
Yes, Whitefish, Montana. It's in the northwest corner up by Glacier National Park.
Okay, so talk to me about how amazing, how beautiful it actually must be over there.
It's the best. Honestly, I miss it so much. Especially lately, I've just been feeling like so ready to go back and spend some time there, which exciting things regarding that we can talk about later. But yeah, it's beautiful. I lived about 30 minutes from the entrance of Glacier National Park, going to the Sun Road, Lake McDonald. It's beautiful up there. And I cherish it. Like, I'm so glad that my parents chose to raise us there.
I mean, what are some scenic views that people just do not see in the South versus where you're from?
Well, I mean, there's like the classic, obviously we have the Rocky Mountains up where I'm from, and then you've also got Yellowstone in the south of Montana into Wyoming. And Yellowstone right now, everybody's freaking out about, right? Like, that's kind of become the trend. So I have a lot of my friends asking me, like, is it actually like that? You know, like, is it, you know, the culture?
Is it gorgeous, basically?
Yeah, it's gorgeous. I mean, it's beautiful. We've got, you know, mountain ranges and rivers and lakes and pretty much wide open spaces. You see, there's still wild horses up there. Like, I grew up with bears, mountain lions, moose right in my backyard.
Oh, heck no. Have you seen those videos about people that are walking in the trails and then there'll be a mountain lion just slowly approaching? Do you know what to do if that happens to you?
Okay, so that was like part of us growing up. We had to learn like animal safety, right? Like,
talk about
that was
it.
The biggest thing. Well, with cats are actually to me the scariest because they're the sneakiest. They like to sneak up on you and they're very good at it. They're hunters, right? That's like their thing. And they always come from behind. They go for your neck, right? So, and if you're ever in a position where you can't escape, I remember like vividly us being taught, like, get in a ball and cover your neck because they'll go for your neck, right? So honestly, I really hope I never have to come across
I don't think
one.
anyone wants to go. All right, so hiking must have been a thing growing up, though.
Totally.
Okay, so I am a fan of hiking. I'm not too much of a fan of it, but when I go hike, I try to make sure I have some weapon on me. I don't know why.
Absolutely.
But were you guys taught from a young age that if you're going to go hiking, have a weapon on you?
Absolutely. I'm pretty sure my dad's best friend gave me like police grade pepper spray because they make bear spray obviously, but like this one was even like more powerful than that. And he gave it to me when I was in high school to take if we ever went hiking. But I carried that thing with me everywhere I went on the hikes. I mean, we would have bonfires in the middle of the woods. And you'd be in the woods and you would hear stuff, you know, in the trees, like while you're hanging out. And you just kind of got used to it. Honestly, I mean, it was scary, but you don't really think too much about it because it's just part of how you grow up. It's not until I moved away that I realized, like, whoa, that's actually not normal for people to have 8 months of winter and, you know. So.
Well, you transitioned to Nashville in about 10 years ago.
Yeah.
So you got to see a difference. Did you ever travel outside of Montana to live outside of Nashville?
I did, actually. I've lived in a few places. After I moved away from Montana, I was 18, freshly 18, and ready to leave, basically. Mm-hmm. And it's funny how you grow up in a small town and you're a teenager. A lot of times you don't really realize how lucky you are until you look back and when you're a little older and you've had time to kind of mature and realize where you're at. Yeah. So I moved straight from Montana to South Carolina, actually. Wow. Columbia. Polar opposites, for sure. Like, you're going from, like, the South. Like, Columbia's the South. When I moved from Montana to Columbia, people were like, you better get ready for this culture change and this and this. And it's true. Like, the easiest thing, obviously the funniest thing, is I'd never had grits, never heard of okra, you know, Waffle House, what's that? You know, so like...
They didn't have Waffle House in South Carolina?
They did there, but not in Montana. So when I moved, it was like, oh, culture shock, awesome. I loved everything about it. And then when I moved from Columbia to California, Westlake specifically, another crazy change. Like, the culture in California is, for lack of a better word, at least where I was, much more like keeping up with the Joneses. And, you know, I wasn't your typical, like, bleach blonde, tan girl that was very much in that area, you know. But I met some really great people, and they have a lot of good music out there. And honestly, some of my best friends I'm still friends with today, I met while I was living in California.
Well, so you have all these experiences that you're bringing into your music today and songwriting and your own music, but I'm curious, when did, so you obviously decided to pursue music full time when you were in South Carolina.
Yeah.
But did your music change at all going from South Carolina to LA? How different was the music vibe, and did you feel like your music fit in that area?
Honestly, the ride of me figuring out my music and what my sound has just been such a crazy journey. So my music was very much like country, kind of Americana, like folkish.
I hear that today in your music, actually.
Yeah, you can totally still hear that. I don't know where that comes from. It's just kind of what's naturally there, I guess. But when I went from Columbia to LA, I started doing a lot more like Christian music, and I actually got plugged in at a church in LA and got signed on a label in LA. And the label was Christian label. So that obviously pushed me even more that way. My music still was very like folk Americana sounding. Honestly, I can't put my finger on what my sound is. It's definitely honky tonk Western, but it's got a lot of influence from that classic rock thing.
I think your music we got to talk about it right now because, you know, you already released Something I Would Do.
Yes.
And Something I Would Do is amazing, by the way.
Thank you.
You know, so talk to me about how's the rollout been? How has it been to really get your music out there?
Man, it's been so fun. I feel like for the first time in my life, I feel like I'm genuinely being me with my music. That's really coming through. It started with Something I Would Do, and that song was meant to just be a fun, like, make people smile, make people dance, get ready for a night out on the town song. I wanted to come in with a bang, and I feel like we definitely accomplished that. My producer, Chris Utley, he's amazing. He really saw the vision and jumped on board with me on that. And that song's kind of just about my personality. I'm very much like a fly by the seat of my pants, like last minute plans. If you want to go out and have a night on the town dancing, call me. Like, I'm your girl. I will be there. I love just having fun and not overthinking things.
People that are watching this right now don't realize that you've written for Taylor Austin Die, Charly Reynolds, and the list keeps going. And name some more amazing artists that you've written for here in Nashville.
Man, there's so many. Jake Politi, Laci K. Booth, Marin Taylor. I could go on, honestly. Garrett Jacobs, Chris Rudiger. Like,
Shout out to Chris Rudiger, by the way.
Go Chris. Yeah, the list goes on. And that's what I've been doing, is just kind of creating this network of friends. I'm such a relational human. So for me, songwriting is much more than just let's write a song. It's like, hey, let's like dig deep into who you are as a person and let me help you tell your story, because I love being a storyteller. That's why I started songwriting. When I was 13 and I wrote my first song, it was called Thirsty Roots. And it was about my first heartbreak. And it was a therapy for me. It was how I kind of got through and processed my emotions. And I don't take that for granted. Not everybody has an outlet like that young. But I realized from a really young age that that was how I processed things. So being able to help other people process their life through that has been amazing. And it's really created these special relationships here in Nashville that I cherish so much. And some lifelong friends have come out of it for sure.
I mean, I'm so curious about your writing style, because one thing that I was watching the Jelly Roll documentary.
Yeah.
And what I thought was really interesting about Jelly Roll is that he was obviously he was a rapper first.
Yeah.
And he was able to write from rap. Mm-hmm. But then when he transitioned into country, there was scenes of him writing with, people, a group. And typically when you think of your favorite artists,
yeah.
right? So let's use Taylor Austin Die, for example.
Okay.
When you think of Taylor Austin Die, is it normal for there to be a group of people helping write a song that is, out there now? Yeah,
I mean, co-writing, that's one of the most amazing parts of Nashville, especially. LA has a scene, New York has a scene, Chicago, I'm sure does. But Nashville is such a co-creative space where people come here to have other people kind of rally around them and help them tell their stories. So for Taylor, like if we go in a room with me and her and Chris, it's like that. It's like, hey, I am invested in what Taylor wants to say. My job as a writer is to go in there and be like, I believe in Taylor. I want to figure out who she is. We know she's from Kentucky. We know her town was like 114 people population, But what else is there? What's deeper than that? What things in life has she gone through? I pull a lot from people's experiences. I think, like you said it earlier, like our stories come from like what we've lived. Who we are is because of our experiences.
Ooh. So that deserves an applause. I like that. I like that.
So I think it's really healthy in a way to go into a room with other writers and artists and
collaborate,
kind of process it. Yeah. I'm what they call a top liner, which means I come in and usually I have a title or a few titles ready to go for that artist. And I've got like a concept. So with people that I know already, it's easy because I'm like, I know your story. I know what you want to say. So I try to come in and be prepared and bring them something to the table. Now, if I don't know them, then it's like the get to know you game where I literally ask them 20 questions, kind of like how you asked me 20 questions, just to kind of get to know them before we start writing a song, because it's really important to me that I write a song that they would connect to personally, because we all know as fans, like you can tell when somebody's being genuinely themselves. So it's my job to write a song that is genuine to them. As far as how we get paid, it's unfortunately not as much as we should right now. There's a lot of laws being fought for actually for songwriters right now, because it's a federal thing. It's a thing that has to go through Congress. And there's been presidents that have fought for us in the past to get that to be more. There's recently a bill passed that did up it from like 0.09% to 0.15%, which is a lot. Obviously, it's a big jump. So hopefully that makes a little difference. But right now, the payment structure is modeled on something that would have worked back in like the 80s when album sales were the most important thing. And that was before streaming kind of took over the world, So as a writer, we split it in Nashville anyways, usually in equal thirds. So if there's 3 people, I get a third, the artist gets a third, the other writer gets a third. Now, what they don't account for is the master share. So the artists have what's called a master recording, and they make royalties on that. And those royalties are far past what we would make as writers. So a lot of times now, independent artists that don't have labels especially are starting to give their writers a percentage of their masters, because it's kind of unfair how it works as far as how writers get paid versus the artist, So that's been really cool, because a lot of my friends that I write with have been giving me a percentage of their master, which is like it honors me, because it's like, I know they don't have to do that. I know they're doing it because they just believe in me and want me to succeed too. But it's so hard to make a living as just a songwriter unless you have a #1 at radio. There's still money in the radio scene, but we all know that radio is getting less and less prevalent. So sorry to be long-winded, but that's kind of like the brief, that's how we get paid. And yeah.
You're able to collaborate so very well, and there's so many people that are here in Nashville that know you, and not only know you, like are rooting for you, and you're seeing that today with your music that you're putting out.
Yes, absolutely.
Talk to me about, from being behind the scenes, right? From being behind the scenes, helping artists create their amazing songs.
Yeah.
I mean, how nervous are you going through that transition of stepping away from out of the scenes to in the scene, in the limelight?
Yeah.
Talk to me how that is.
Man, honestly, full transparency, I haven't really thought about that part of it as much. I feel nothing right now except for just joy and excitement and just kind of expectancy to see what's going to happen with this music. Like you said, I've spent so long like pouring my heart into other people's creative journeys, and I'm ready for my own. As far as being behind the scenes to in front of the scenes, I'm excited. I feel like I love people. And so anytime I feel like I can spread a little bit of light, a little bit of joy and love to people, that's such a huge part of who I am. I don't think it's going to really change how I roll that much.
Well, also you're in front of, I mean, let's be honest, you're behind the scenes, but you're not really behind the scenes because you're still doing backup. You're still doing songwriters rounds. You're still doing all these things in the limelight.
Yeah.
You've already made songs.
Yeah.
And you've already performed songs. You're a great performer.
Thank you.
But, going into that lane of now I'm going to develop myself.
Yeah.
There is so many challenges that people that are watching this right now have no idea what it's like to build their own brand.
Yes.
And the people that you have written for have huge followings.
Yeah.
And obviously it took them a long time to build that following. Absolutely. Are you nervous about that at all? Does it get you down at all?
There's moments where it's not even so much about me as much as I'm like, I want people to take me seriously. So that's the part where I'm like, unfortunately, we do live in a day and age where if people see your following and they're like, oh, she doesn't have, 500,000 followers, they think that you're not legit. What they don't realize is like most of those artists that are putting out songs that have big followings have songwriters backing them and invested in their careers that nobody knows, And so for me, it's like weird. It's like, it does get me down for moments, but overall, honestly, I'm kind of living by this motto of like one day at a time. I'm going to let it roll out the way it's supposed to roll out. If I blow up, which, that would be amazing.
We all hope that for everyone that comes here at the Heart
Absolutely. Then I'll just take it day by day. And for now, what I do know is I have such a unique position and platform to champion my friends and the artists that I write with. And I do feel very lucky because all of them are supporting me just as hard on the way back. So I don't know, it's kind of day by day. I wouldn't say I've crossed that bridge completely yet that you're talking about. But I'm just day by day. Like if I wake up one day and I have 1 million followers, I'll be pumped. But if it stays at 5K, I'll be pumped because I'm lucky enough to get to do what I love. And that's kind of where I'm at right now.
Well, I love that. And, real quick, we're going to take a quick break and we're going to come right back. I'm excited to know a little bit more of your writing style, to know a little bit more of, what are writing credits. Not a lot of people know that. And your questions will be answered. So we'll be right back right now with Nicole.
Wintertime is almost over. Spring is on the way. So fellas, it's time to pull out your junk and assess the damage. Trim those hedges. Mow those lawns. And no, I'm not talking about grass. I'm talking about what's in between your... Manscaped new Lawnmower 5.0 Ultra is every man's cheat code to look good, feel good, and turn the page on confidence this year. Whether you're going for a trim or that clean-shaven look, this trimmer has you covered. Go to manscaped.com, use the code GOLDS20 for 20% off plus free shipping.
All right, look, I love the fact that you're able to break down, how writers get paid.
Yes.
Now, you're talking about the masters, and you're talking about how challenging it is for, it's more for the radio and the old way of getting money.
Yes.
But how does it feel? What are you excited about when, one of your artists that you're working with you start seeing that their songs become trending?
Yeah.
Does that get you hyped up more for them or also for yourself for getting monetary value?
That's like such a complicated question because yes, it's exciting for me, I guess. But to be truthful, even like 20 million streams on a song is not a lot of money for a songwriter. It's actually like way less money than you would think. Couple grand maybe. It's crazy.
That's still amazing though, compared to how much you said 20 million?
20 million.
Oh my gosh. How many, just randomly thinking, I mean, how many guests have you done? How many co-writes have you done where they've hit that number? 20 million.
Gosh, it's a few. It's honestly, it's hard nowadays to get streams unless you have a song go crazy viral. You know, we know that. For me, I think the song that's done the best for me that I've written is by an artist named Willie Jones. And he actually released a song that I wrote. It was his first country single. It was called Down For It, and it was a couple years ago. And he actually released it. It got remixed like 5 times. And then T.I., the rapper T.I., actually remixed it and did a feature and rapped on the song. It's got a feature of his song, You Could Have Whatever You Like.
Yeah, of course. Yeah.
So he's on it, which is crazy. And that's got quite a few streams on it. So
ever since that song starts trending, so basically your portion, your aspect of the writing credits, that doesn't die.
No.
It could come back at any time.
Absolutely, yeah. As a writer, that's something you kind of bank on. You know, there's that funny saying, mailbox money, right? Mm-hmm. That's the goal. I mean, the goal would be to have residual income for the rest of your life and be getting checks for royalties. A good example is Fast Car. Luke Combs just put that out, right?
Mm-hmm.
Tracy Chapman. That song is going to make her money or her family, because he recorded her song. So it's still her song. Does that make sense?
Oh, yeah, absolutely. And I mean, do you look for, how do you get into those rooms where you have the opportunity to write for a Chris Stapleton, Luke Bryan? How does that work for the people that don't know?
So for me, that's a complicated question, because Nashville is a small town, right? Mm-hmm. So a lot of it is who you know, and a lot of it is relational. How long you've been here and proving yourself as a writer, proving that you're not just gonna, be here for a couple years, that you're here for the long haul and you have something to bring to the table. One of the reasons I haven't put out artist stuff until now is because I really wanted to be that kind of writer. I wanted to be the writer like a Stapleton that is respected as a songwriter, not just an artist. I wanted to solidify my reputation in town so that now that I am putting out artist stuff, I'm still considered a writer first, because I'm always going to be a songwriter. I'm always going to want to write for other people and not just for myself. For me, my artist stuff is a creative outlet, and I hope that I can touch the people through it. And that's like a really fun thing for me. Songwriting in general is my heart. Like, that is where I find the most peace and joy.
I love that. And now, before we go on to your music, because we got to promote her music, y'all. I'm not going to do that to you now. But I do want to shout out some names that are in Nashville that are working their tail off. Shout out to Nick, by the way, that are working their tail off writing songs.
Yeah.
Can you shout them out that maybe I am not aware of, that do not have the platform you do? So shout them out that are working hard for other artists as well. Absolutely.
Some of my favorite songwriters to write with. Frank Leger is one of my really good friends. He's a producer. He plays drums for Adam Doliak, actually. Mm-hmm. Him and I write a lot, and he doesn't have a publishing deal yet, but he is constantly grinding. When he's not on the road with Adam, he's in his studio writing, and he's fantastic. So definitely him. Writing-wise, one of my favorite writers in Nashville is Nick Walsh.
Hey, that's who I shouted out. Yeah. What's up, Nick? Baby, what's up?
So Nick, funny story about Nick, actually. I met him the first night he moved to town.
Really?
I did, and I met him through my cousin. She actually knew his roommate. And so we've been writing together, and he's been one of my really good friends ever since he moved here. And I've just gotten to see him kind of start to get some success.
Man, Nick, so I went to Nick when he got his publishing deal at his big event. What was it at? It was located right by the pantry.
I was there.
Yeah, man.
Yeah.
Hey, Nashville is a small town, and I'm trying to tell you all this, that everyone kind of collides, but I would think that we're all kind of you're in the class ahead of mine. So if I'm not a musician or anything like that, but I showed up like 3 years ago.
Oh yeah, it works like that. It's very much like classes of people that move here at the same time and grind and kind of come up together.
Exactly, they come up together, and that's what I love about Nashville. And it's so hard to ever think about leaving Nashville, because you don't know that yourself can blow up. Tay is doing that right now.
Absolutely.
Charly's going to do that next. And it's just so cool to see you guys grow and just being a part of that same communication. But yeah, Nick, I was part of his publishing deal party. Just showed up. And Nick, get on the show, man.
Let's go.
Wow, since I've seen
Actually,
you.
Nick wrote Something I Would Do, my single Something I Would Do. He wrote that with me.
No way.
Yeah, he did.
Let's talk about your music now. So, Something I Would Do. I mean, talk to me about, are you deciding to create a music video? It may already be out by the time we release this.
Yeah. Mm-hmm.
But what do you think?
So I am actually doing a music video for Something I Would Do. So excited. And my plan is to do one for my next couple singles as well. Mm-hmm. So yeah, that's actually like a really fun part of the artist thing don't get me wrong, it's an expensive part of the artist thing, but it's a very fun part because like it kind of gets you into this realm where you don't get to be a lot, where I get to think of like, what do I want this to look like, right? Like, what do I want it to feel like? What story do I want to tell? Is the story in the music video going to be the same as the story in the song? You know, because you can kind of get creative with some stuff like that.
But see, you're like a hyper creative. So what I mean by hyper creative is that not only can you write, first of all, if you can write a song, that's already more creative than probably 95% of the population.
Yeah.
But then if you're able to sing a song, that's creative. If you're able to visualize a song, that's another creativity.
Yeah.
I mean, you're just stacking this up. So I'm trying to figure out, where does your creative juices end?
I don't know, honestly. I feel like I've always been that girl. I don't know if any of you feel this way, but I've always been that girl that's like, I love a good craft night. Like Charly and I actually recently had a craft night where we went to my house and we bedazzled shirts and like made shirts for ourselves.
Really?
Yeah. So like even that kind of creativity is fun for me. It's just an outlet. Like for me, that's how I feel alive when I'm creating something. You know, that's how I know that I'm doing what I'm called to do, is whatever makes me feel that life that kind of bubbles up inside.
What else are you manifesting?
Gosh, okay. For me, obviously, I'm manifesting a #1 radio hit.
Yeah. Hey, I'm manifesting that you go big so this can go viral. That's what I'm manifesting.
Definitely manifesting that. I'm for myself. I'm gonna play the Grand Ole Opry. I'm manifesting.
That's amazing.
That. When I decided to just be a songwriter a few, years back and focus on writing, I kind of wasn't sure if that dream was ever gonna come true. And for a long time, I put the artist stuff on the back burner because I was like, if I'm going to be a writer, I want to be a writer and I want to focus on this and give it my whole heart and everything I have to make it come true, right? So my grandmother, my mom's mom, got cancer, and we went to see her in California when she was in hospice. I love this woman so much. And I was sitting by her bed, and she was in her last, days of living on this earth with us. And we were just talking about music, and she was asking me how it was going in Nashville and just encouraging me. And I said, how cool would it be if I got to play the Opry? I would love to play the Opry. And she said, Nicole, I'll tell you what, if you play the Opry, I'm going to be there. Oh. And she was obviously not going to be there physically, but I know for a fact that the day that I get to play the Grand Ole Opry, she will be there. She will be with me in spirit. So, yeah, for me, that's a big motivation of, that's not the reason, obviously, but just knowing that will mean so much to me when I stand in that circle.
You said that you're going to be doing a bunch of music videos, possibly.
Yes, absolutely.
For everything.
Yeah.
Now, where do you see the second single, and how do you visualize it? It's already recorded, right?
Yeah, it's already recorded. So, right now, we've got 3 singles lined up, ready to go. I'm going to be back in the studio in November recording 3 more. The goal is to release songs every 6 to 8 weeks, because right now we know we live in a culture where content is like eaten up, right? We got to stay ahead, stay with it, give it to our fans. So that's what I'm shooting to do. With the second single, it is really just a play on the way that I grew up and what I really truly feel like is the healthiest way to live your life, and it's to have a good perspective, right? So it's just about the things that matter in life. As far as the music video goes, I have a whole screenplay already in my head. So we're going to go basically to the ranch and we're going to film it. There's going to be some horses. I don't want to say too much to give it away, but it's just going to be that.
But speaking of getting out of you, we got people that want to get some questions out of you.
Let's go.
And our section called Crowd Noise. You ready for Crowd Noise?
I'm ready for crowd noise.
All right, let's do it.
Go.
Nicole, do you have any nicknames or alter egos that you call yourself when you've been drinking?
Okay. I'm dying, first of all.
What?
Well, I know who that is immediately.
Immediately?
What? So that's Charly Reynolds.
Shout out to Charly, by the way.
Charly,
amazing season
you.
3. Thank you so much.
So Charly and I, she's one of my best friends in the world, and her and my other friend Tiara. I don't know if you have
I haven't
had
met
Tiara
Tiara yet. No.
One of my best friends too. They both know this side of me very well. When I drink, two things come out. Well, her name is Nicola.
Nicola. Okay, so who is Nicola and what does she do?
Okay, Nicola is basically my alter ego, and she's just kind of spicy. She's a little ghetto.
So it's your Latina side of
my
you.
Latina side. Yeah.
Okay.
She's
all right.
a little crazy.
So give me an example. Give me a story about Nicola.
Gosh, a story about Nicola.
Yeah,
well,
because Charly's watching this right now.
Listen, Nicola loves to dance. She loves to dance.
Okay.
And she will get down. And there have been many nights where she's made an appearance on Broadway. I don't know her, but, I've heard this.
You've heard this. Okay, so Nicola, so in Broadway, there's a bunch of different types of bars on Broadway, right? So like Tootsie's, I would consider is an older crowd, and versus like Whiskey Row, or what's the one across the street from Whiskey Row? The ones that's real rowdy at the top.
Nudies.
Nudies, okay, yeah. Then there's Nudies people. No disrespect to anyone that goes to Nudies late at night, but Nudies... There's a different type of breed on the top.
Nicole, would be like Robert's Western World, listening to live country music, some real country stuff. Mm-hmm. Singing along, having a good old time. About 4 drinks in, Nicola comes out, and she's at
4 drinks
top
of what?
floor. It depends on the night. It's either going to be a tequila soda. It's really either going to be tequila soda, whiskey soda, or the occasional rum and Sprite.
Rum and Sprite, okay.
I love rum, so it depends on my mood.
When Nicola comes out, where's she going?
She's probably going to be top floor of Aldine's or FGL or anywhere that...
So just dancing it out.
Yeah, dancing it out. I mean, let's be honest, like, when that beat comes on, I do have the Latina roots, like, my hips don't lie. Like...
Okay. Got another question, so let's see what this question is.
Hey, Nicole, what has been the most rewarding song you've been a part of?
I don't know if I could pick one song, if I'm being honest. Okay. I would say, obviously, I've mentioned them many times in this because I know you know them and you guys know them, hopefully. Taylor, Austin Dye, and Charly Reynolds both are dear, dear friends of mine, and I believe in them so much. And I've gotten the chance to write with them a ton. So we have like a catalog of songs, Recently, Taylor released a song called Bible Belt.
Love Bible Belt.
Now, that song to me is very rewarding because it's like shedding light on something that people it's like a taboo subject. People don't want to talk about it. It's hard to talk about it. If you've heard the song, you know that it's about basically a woman that sells herself to provide for her family. And it's written from the daughter's perspective. And Taylor's from a really rural community, and when she came into the right that day, she wanted to write a song that meant something, and she wanted to write about her town hooker, basically. So we did, and that song means a lot to me because, it's shedding light on that, but it's also kind of like a challenging song where it's like, hey, you can look at this, but if you're not if you're not doing anything to help or doing anything about it, you really can't judge it. You know what I mean? Because that's like obviously a thing in this country, like, if you're born into poverty, it's really hard to get out of poverty.
And how hard is it to write that?
Cycle. It's hard because you're writing this fine line of like not offending anyone, but also being able to say what you need to say.
And it's just it's a 180 from the song that she released after that, right? Which is Rest in Peace, right?
Yeah.
So, but Bible Belt is exactly right. Right now, while we're filming this right now, Bible Belt is taking off slowly, but it's going to be the next one. And, it's so amazing that you're able to to help write that song because the song is so deep.
Yeah.
It reaches people on so many levels.
Yeah.
And, that's not easy to write.
No, not at all. And Charlie's got another song coming out that it's called Visiting Hours. And it's about her brother that passed away when she was a little kid. And that song.
See, I didn't know that.
Yeah. Man, you're going to love it. I think it'll touch a lot of people. So those are like a few examples. I tend to like the songs that mean more, that have obviously I love the party songs. I love to get down. Nicola, we introduced her, but I also love, the songs that have deep meaning, depth,
deep roots.
And that can kind of touch people's hearts and maybe get them to see life with a different perspective, a different lens.
Your music.
Yeah.
How are you going to put that same energy in the music that you're writing today?
Well, so how I'm looking at it is I don't want to get too deep too fast and scare people away.
Fair. That's fair.
So I came out with something I would do, and that's supposed to just be a really fun, let's get the party started. Let's have a good night, And then from there, it's like a slow and steady approach. My second song's a little more, it's still like a feel-good song, roll your windows down, put the hand out the window and drive, Mm-hmm. But the third song I'm releasing, Who Do You Love? That's where the content that gets a little deeper. And it's actually about my relationship. I've been with the same man for 12 years.
Hey.
And his name's Dave, and we have had quite the journey together. So
12 years.
Yeah, 12 years, man. So Who Do You Love's kind of about that. It's about just when we fell in love, it was really fast, and we kind of jumped in, and we were young. He's 5 years older than me, but I was a baby. I met him when I was 19, and we got married when I was 21.
Wow.
So babies, But so the Who Do You Love is basically the story of that, of waking up one day and realizing oh shoot, did I jump into this thing too fast? And what version of me do you really love? Do you love the version of me that you made up, or do you love the version of me that's reality, which is the woman that I've become?
I love that. Now, I love to, so first of all, we do this section on the show called Walk the Line.
Yeah.
Walk the Line is your day in the life. So far as we're recording this, I haven't missed a Walk the Line yet.
Okay.
And that's with all the crazy people that have been on the show thus far, which I'm so thankful for everyone that's been on the show. And it's very challenging because not only do we do the interview, we also do the behind the scenes. Now, I'm excited to know what your behind the scenes could be. We haven't filmed it at this point yet, but obviously when you watch this, it'll be filmed. But but the way I end the show is two ways. The first way is always about hate. I love to talk about hate because we all have haters in this world, but how do you not let it get to you, and how does it not consume you?
I think just realizing that some of the most successful people and the people that have made most of the difference in this world are also the people that have been the most hated. Realizing that when you have something to say that's worth anything, it's going to offend somebody. And just knowing that your purpose and what you believe to be true matters. So it just can't be something you're focused on. It can't be something that you pay a lot of attention to. Use it as a driving force. For me, obviously I've had some of that, and to be honest, it's mainly been in the industry so far. It hasn't so much been fans. I've had really supportive fans up until this point. I'm so grateful for people that have really been supportive and encouraging towards me. But just realizing that your story is uniquely yours. It's going to be different, and if people don't like it, it doesn't mean it's not good. It doesn't mean that you're not going to succeed. It just means that they might not like it. It might rub them the wrong way, and that's okay. You're not going to be best friends with everybody. My mom actually, my entire childhood, I dealt with a lot of jealousy and mean girls. A lot of mean girls. And girls can be mean. We all know this. They can be catty. The claws come out, But my mom was always like, listen, the minute you stoop to that level, you're no different. And she said, you just got to kill them with kindness, which we all know. So that's what I try to do every single day. To the haters, I just love them. I love them and love them and love them. And maybe they'll convert to my side one day, and maybe they won't, but it doesn't matter.
I love it. So the way that we set up your Walk the Line episode is you look straight into that camera right there. You say your name, and you say, this is how I walk the line. And then we're going to go straight from there to your day in the life. You ready to do it?
I'm ready. Let's go.
All right. So after the applause in
3.
Hey guys, this is Nicole Croteau, and this is how I walk the line.
Hey, Nicole, thank you so
This is called Love Me When I'm Leaving, and that's what this is about. I wrote it with Laci Booth and Kaylee Green, and I hope you like it. I'm actually going into the studio in December, and this is on the list, so I'm excited. We're just two bodies in this house. I don't know why you're crying now. I've been dying, trying to prove I exist, trying to fix this, but boy, your time's run out. Ain't it funny how that works? You only see me when I'm hurt. I packed my bags and now you beg and you plead on your knees. Well, baby, don't it burn? You only love me when I'm leaving. Pour your heart out, but you don't mean it. Your silver tongue cuts like a knife. Say anything to make it right, but you only love me when I'm leaving. I've been grieving for a while, but I can tell you're in denial. I was gone 6 months ago. If you were here, then you would know how love ain't nothing but a lie. 'Cause you only love me when I'm leaving. Pour your heart out, but you don't mean it. Your silver tongue cuts like a knife. Say anything to make it right, but you only love me when I'm leaving. You only love me when I'm 1 foot out the door. I cut it off. You want more, you hate the truth. You love the game, and I think you love the world. But you only love me when I'm leaving. Pour your heart out, but you don't mean it. Your silver tongue cuts like a knife. Say anything to make it right, but you won't.